called the Orlandia Milk Day. Okay, so yes, we have to give it to. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. Let me just. Okay, we have to give it to this awesome brand. Yes, we have to give it to this awesome brand. We know Chi Limited, in the 80s, they came to be. And then 16 years ago, one very fantastic brand was born, and that is Hollandia. They opened the ground to the yogurt industry in Nigeria. Yes, they did. We always had yogurt around us, those white containers from Quara, and at times you look at them and you look again because you want to be sure if they are safe. But then they brought beauty, they brought branding, they made health so ceremonial. They made health so ceremonial, and we must celebrate this. So I want us to just give it to Orlandia. Let's give it to them, Yes. So they brought safety, they brought profitable business, but large scale, small scale. And then there's this thing we say, they democratized yogurt. They democratized yogurt by, improving the sizes. You have it in very small size for, petite people or slim people like myself. You have the different brands. They have the, no, don't let me even move into brand issue now. Let me talk about sizes. They just gave, they made it not just the very big keg that you have to carry about, but even the, small sizes for children on the go with food and everything. You begin to see yogurts at ceremonies. It wasn't so before. It wasn't. Yes, we began to see it at ceremonies, and all of that. And then, of course, the biggest. And I am excited not just as a media person, but as someone who's passionate about health, as a dietitian too. When we began to see the low fat, I remember the first day I saw low fat, I was like, what? Like, seriously? Okay. For, people that need to trim down a little, we have the UHT, the full cream milk, we have the zero yogurt, and of course, we have another groundbreaking, Orlandia is about setting pace, yes. I call them the pace setters when it comes to food, when it comes to even this yogurt, the yogurt industry generally. We have the lactose-free. I don't think we can find it anywhere, at least in Nigeria. We can't find any other brand, any other industry with lactose-free milk-free yogurt. So this is very, very awesome. It is a great gathering. I mean, we should proclaim this, we should scream it everywhere. We should let people know that health is celebrated here and you can enjoy healthfully. Yes, this is all we are about today. So again, I want us to give it to Hollandia. We should be excited. We should be excited. Okay, so briefly, I would be recognizing, the legalities and concomitabilities in our midst, both online and on ground. So I'm starting with Dr. Ime Okon. She's part of our panelist, secretary, Lagos chapter, Nigerian Medical Association, NMA. Then Mrs. Ijedi Iyoha. Please bear with my, she's also a panelist, director, regulation, monitoring, and enforcement, APCON. Yes, and then we have Mrs. Amaka Wara. Yes, she's a nutrition specialist. Let us appreciate them. Member of Nutrition Society of Nigeria. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, Mrs. Iora. Thank you, Dr. Ime Okon. Dr. Emil Cohen. Oh, thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, we have, yes, let's appreciate them. Let's appreciate them. We have Mrs. Cynthia. Mrs. Cynthia Oyekwere. Ms. Cynthia Oyekwere, thank you so much. She's a dietitian, a senior dietitian. Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Luth, and then she's member. Dan, Dietitian Association of Nigeria. We have pharmacist Ambrose Eze Sunday. Thank you for coming, sir. He's also part of the panelist, National Secretary, Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria. And then we have our awesome brand ambassador. And we must recognize her. Please, let's give it to the beauty queen. Okay. She's the Orlandia brand ambassador. She's a producer. She's a writer. And she's of course, you know her. She's an actress. So thank you for coming. Okay. And then our media people. Both, in print and online, we welcome you. Thank you. Consumers of Hollandia, passionate people like myself, and lovers of our beloved brand, we welcome everybody. And of course, in-house, Mr. Israel Dan Ota, I hope I got that pronunciation well. Yes, Head of Legal, Public Affairs and Communications, Chi Limited, we welcome you, sir. And then Mrs. Amaka Bifom. Mr. Amaka Bifom, thank you for coming. She's the HR Director, Chi Limited. And then we have Mr. Senapati Chandi. He's the head, R&D. And then we have Mr. Amit Aneja. Thank you. He's the category head juices. Okay, so we go to our mama here, Mrs. Bosse Oguyem. That's the woman shaking tables there, making things happen. As the brand manager, you got and others. We have Mr. Demola. Yes, that's another bigger boss there, making things happen. Category head, brand manager, milk. Okay, so we welcome everybody. And peradventure, your name wasn't mentioned. I tell you, you're so precious. You're recognized. We thank you for coming. My humble self, I'm Fashion Tolani. I'm a presenter. I'm a nutrition enthusiast. Okay, so let's move. We need to move quickly because we don't have all the day. So I welcome the HSC manager, Mr. Wole Ojetokun, the Health, Safety and Environment, just to give us some.
Good morning. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are not excited being here, are we not? Okay, a very quick one. We are going to follow the rhythm of our hands. We are going to do this locomotive clapping. You follow the rhythm of my hand. As I'm moving, you'll be clapping. So are we good to go? Are we good to go? Okay, let's go. Follow the rhythm of my hands. Thank you very much. COVID is still around. I want to believe that. So please, if you are not with your nose mask, can you kindly just fix that? Can we kindly fix that if you don't have your nose mask with you, please? If you have one, please use it properly. If you are not eating, please kindly use it properly. Thank you very much. Once again, this is Chi Limited, and we know why we are here today. Please, we want you to relax and enjoy yourself. But meanwhile, while you are here, we need to tell you some of our safety protocols. In case you are pressed and you need to go to the gent or convenience, please, once you walk out, down the balcony down, then we have the ladies and we have the gents there. Please kindly use that. And while you are here, in case there's any siren or master blaster or beagle that goes off, please do not panic. We have a team of the HSC firefighting team, the safety committee, and the security men on ground, stationed on ground. You will be asked to go straight and directed to the fire assembly point, just close to our gate 1, where the roll call will be taken, and you'll be led out of the premises gently. Please, while coming to this place, you make use of the lift. But in case of any emergency, please do not use the lift. Just go through the staircase, which is rightly in front of this door out there. You can find your way down there, and the security, somebody will be on each of the platform of the staircase to lead you down to the assembly point. And please, in case of any other thing that you need to know, you can get across to any of the people wearing this polo shirt. They will tell you the next thing to do. And if there's fire disaster, we have enough fire extinguishers in the house. Please, if you know how to use one, feel free to join us. But if you don't know how to use any, please just march down to the assembly point. We also have the in-house clinic in case you are feeling dizzy or you need to do one or two things. We have 24 hours. The place is open for 24 hours, and we have the medical teams that work there too. So you can as well visit the place. Milk, for what it is nutrients to our body. Enjoy your stay. Thank you very much.
Okay, okay. So the welcome address by the head, legal, public affairs and communication, Mr. Israel Dan Uta. Please let's encourage him. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies of the press, my distinguished colleagues in-house, and the distinguished panelists here present. I welcome you all to the maiden edition of the Hollandia Dairy Day. This epoch-making event is aimed at raising awareness about the nutritious value of dairy products and how daily consumption plays a key role in achieving optimum health. It also draws attention to the activities that Hollandia is executing to promote the consumption of healthy dairy products amongst children and the whole Nigerian population. According to a report from the National Dairy Policy Stakeholders Engagement, recently held in Abuja in March 2021, in quote, Nigeria has over 150 million consumers and about 1.3 billion tons of milk production annually. This is a huge market for a locally produced milk and dairy products. Even so, domestic milk consumption levels are still very low. Research data on dairy products consumption in Nigeria shows that the average annual per capita consumption of milk and other dairy products in Nigeria is between 15 and 20 liters. Source of this information, Nielsen 2018 reports, Euro Monitor 2020 reports, and Tetra Pak Compass 2020 reports. This is very low compared to the US dietary guidelines of 267 liters per year. Dairy products are a very good source of calcium, protein, magnesium, potassium, zinc, phosphorus, and vitamins A and D. These essential nutrients, which are required by the body for optimum functioning and health, are found in higher levels per calorie than any other typical food found in an adult diet. And they have a higher absorptive rate than any other foods. Dairy products are also readily available and affordable, allowing for regular consumption. For children and adolescents, consumption of dairy foods plays an important role in supporting optimal growth and development. The theme of this year's Hollandia Dairy Day Conference, Dairy Nourishment to Support Healthy Living, focuses on the vital role dairy consumption plays in our everyday nourishment, its benefits to our overall health, and why dairy products should be included in our diets every day. This theme also highlights the benefits of dairy nutrition at this time, especially during COVID-19 pandemic. We have experts here with us today from different fields of medicine, health, and nutrition who will be sharing their thoughts, knowledge, experience, and opinions with us. For decades, Chi Limited has provided high-quality, value-added dairy products through its Hollandia brands, including Hollandia yogurts, Hollandia evaporated milk, Hollandia Slim evaporated milk, Hollandia Zero yogurts, Hollandia lactase-free milk, and Hollandia UHC milk, which have become household names across the country. We are confident that the Hollandia Dairy Day Conference will be an effective forum for discussing the way forward in dairy nutrition, setting priorities for improving the health of the Nigerian nation, and especially our dear children, as well as connecting with today's consumers at a deeper and a more meaningful level. I wish everyone a successful and safe conference. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you so much.
So much, Mr. Israel Dano. Let's make it louder. Louder one. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we move quickly to the Orlandia brand story. And I welcome our own brand manager, Yogurt and others, Mrs. Bosse Ogunyemi. Please, let's put our hands together for this passionate... You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. I am Bosse Ogunyemi, brand manager for Yogurt and others. The story of Hollandia is the story of innovation, the story of resilience, the story of industrialization. And we're very, very proud to be able to show you our story, not only with words, but through visuals. Thank you very much as you watch.
Welcome to the world of Hollandia. Since its introduction in the year 2005, whilst on this fascinating journey of providing Nigerian consumers with their nutritious and healthy dairy beverages, the brand transformed and evolved to a leader in the value-added dairy categories, starting with the launch of Hollandia yogurt and Hollandia evaporated milk in 2005. The Hollandia portfolio today boasts of multiple innovations across value-added dairy beverage categories. In 2005, Chi Limited, through its Hollandia, created a never-before-existing category, drinking yogurt category. By launching Hollandia yogurt in aseptic packaging, which could be sold on shelves at ambient temperature, we redefined the yogurt beverage category and created a whole new drinking experience for our consumers. Today, even in the face of the influx of competing yogurt brands, Hollandia yogurt still maintains leadership of the category it created 16 years ago. Nigerian consumers still prefer Hollandia yogurt, evidenced by the brand's growing brand equity and affinity scores. In 2021, Hollandia yogurt signed on Nollywood actor and producer Zainab Balogun Nwachukwu and worked very closely with her to develop the brand's new integrated communication campaign. In this move to consolidate our leadership position of the drinking category and drive the value-added benefits of the Hollandia yogurt brand, the new campaign showcases the different consumption moments during which consumers can enjoy their nourishing Hollandia yogurt at home, away from home, or on the go. The role of the brand in consumers' lives is also conveyed where we show that Hollandia yogurt provides active replenishment before or after undergoing strenuous activities, is a healthy snack replacement in between meals instead of consuming unhealthy food and drinks, serves as a positive recharge for mental uplift, and provides tasty indulgence during moments of relaxation. A few years back, the evaporated milk category was overwhelmingly dominated by a single player. Hollandia challenged the giant in their own turf by launching Nigeria's first evaporated milk in aseptic paper packaging in 2005. Supported by a range of product packaging and pricing innovations, every campaign was a classic challenger move, from highlighting the hygienic advantage of our aseptic packaging over the tin to the brand's multi-purpose usage, nutritional benefits, and the value for money advantage. Within a span of just 8 years, Hollandia evaporated milk became the undisputed leader in Lagos. Fantastic, isn't it? It gets even better. In 3 out of 5 homes in Lagos, you will find our Hollandia evaporated milk on dining tables. This number is growing every day, consolidating the brand's leadership position as the leading evaporated milk brand in the region. 2019 was another amazing year for Hollandia evaporated milk brand, with the launch of a new trendy packaging that generated a lot of buzz and acceptance with consumers. To leverage on the success of the new packaging design and dominate the breakfast occasion, the brand teamed up with popular and award-winning Nollywood actress Mercy Johnson Okoje to launch a new marketing campaign tagged "Start Your Day Right" with Hollandia evaporated milk.
Healthy start to the day.
So start your day right with Hollandia Evap.
Typical of the Hollandia brand, we took things to a new direction in 2020 when we launched yet another Hollandia Slim Evaporated Milk, a product made from real milk but with 50% less fat. The rich, creamy goodness of this product with its 50% less fat proposition makes it an excellent choice for weight-conscious consumers who desire to enjoy their evaporated milk without worrying about the extra calories. Hollandia Slim Evaporated Milk is an excellent partner for our dear consumers who desire to stay in shape. Launched in 2007, Hollandia UHT milk became the first locally manufactured UHT milk in Nigeria. It is a drinking milk product that is fortified with essential vitamins and minerals that are required to support the optimum functioning of your body every day. We did it again in 2019. Having conducted a research and discovered that close to 80% of Nigerians have some sort of lactose intolerance, many of whom don't even realize it. We developed and launched Nigeria's first ever and locally produced drinking milk product, Hollandia lactose-free milk, in the 1-liter paper aseptic packaging. With this innovative product, the consumers can now enjoy all the goodness of milk without the discomfort. All our marketing initiatives and brand strategies have been consumer-focused, such that whoever you are, whether rich or poor, young or old, we have a Hollandia product that is made specially for you. Whatever the time or place, whatever the moment or occasion, during breakfast, lunch, dinner, in between meals, during festive occasions, celebrations, at the bar, at school, while working out or keeping fit, all to see. The overall brand love and acceptance for Hollandia goes beyond just market share and share of wallet. In our growing digital world, consumers vouch their love for Hollandia, actively interacting and engaging with their beloved Hollandia brands across various consumer connection points, social media, and digital platforms. It is no surprise, therefore, that Hollandia has bagged numerous awards and recognitions that only encourage us to go further. It has been a wonderful, exciting, and fulfilling Hollandia journey so far. With our joining the Coca-Cola family in 2019, it is time. Time for us to spread our wings, fly high, soar, and explore the world. The world is our stage. We urge you to come along with us on the next phase of our exciting dairy journey.
Personally. Uh, and then we have to, share it everywhere. Let everybody know that you can get daily nourishment to support your healthy living. And there is a Hollandia. There's a Hollandia for everybody. Are you as slim as I am? There's a full cream for you. Are you on the chubby side? There's a slim one for you. And then do you have this bloating and GIT issues? There's a lactose free. So nobody has any excuse not, to meet the daily requirement that we're meant to get from dairy. Okay, so the next person, we're going to start, receiving our speakers. So I am going to the first speaker, um, Mrs. Cynthia Onyekwere. She's a registered dietitian with over 6 years of experience in clinical practice. She has worked with different health-related NGOs and carried out several community outreach programs aimed at improving the nutritional status of individuals and groups. She is a member of DAN, the Dietitian Association of Nigeria, and presently she works as a senior dietitian at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Luth. So let's welcome her. Let's put our hands together. Welcome, Mrs. Cynthia Onyekwere. Welcome, ma.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Cynthia Onyekwere. I'm a registered dietitian. I'm so happy to be here today. Any discussion about nutrition excites me. And sorry, can you hear me? Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me now? Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Cynthia Onyekwere. I'm a registered dietitian. I'm so excited to be here today. Any discussion about nutrition excites me. And 18th of May is also a very remarkable day for me because today happens to be my wedding anniversary as well. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. So today I will be discussing, okay, thank you. So today I'll be discussing the role of dairy in ensuring optimal health and nutrition. Slides, please. Thank you. So I'll be discussing the role of dairy in achieving optimal health and nutrition. Okay, I think I'll have to. Oh, okay. Next slide, please. Okay, before I continue, I'd like to send you greetings from the National President of the Dietitians Association of Nigeria, Professor Elizabeth Kanayongu, who is unavoidably absent. So I'm making this presentation on her behalf. So the outline of my discussion is as follows. Introduction, I'll be looking at types of dairy, how dairy became part of our diet, global statistics of dairy consumption, the Nigerian scenario, nutritional facts about dairy, common controversies and myths about dairy, lifestyle and dairy, recommendations, and conclusion. So dairy refers to the food made from milk products of animals or produced in the mammary gland. So when you hear dairy, what comes to your mind? Which animal comes to your mind? The cow. Yes, so the cow is the common mammal from which milk is gotten for large-scale consumption. However, there are other animals that we also get milk from. These include goats, camels, sheep, horses, donkeys, buffalo, and even the reindeer. Interestingly, the reindeer has a very good nutritional profile. I mean, the milk from the reindeer, it's higher in protein and fat as well. But you can only get about 1.5 cups of milk from it daily. So humans also produce milk. Remember, we're mammals. So, and that's where our dairy journey begins. From exclusive breastfeeding, you know that the WHO recommends exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life. So after that, the babies transition to age-appropriate milk. After the transition, they then move on to regular milk, and this continues even to late adulthood. So over the years, dairy has been an important part of our diet. For the children, for the adults, whatever category you fall in, dairy is an important part of your diet. So let's look at types of dairy. So the most common type of dairy is milk. And it's more or less like the most important because it's where other dairy products are gotten from. It could be raw milk, evaporated, condensed. It could be dried. It could be modified to contain less fat and also specialized to meet the needs of certain categories of people. During the former presentation, we heard about Hollandia having a lactose-free milk. So it's one of the specialized milks produced for people who cannot tolerate lactose. Lactose is the carbohydrate in milk, and you need an enzyme called lactase to digest it. So for people who lack lactose or have lactose in a limited amount, they are not able to digest normal milk well, so they will be needing lactose-free milk. Of course, we have yogurt, we have cheese, butter, and ice cream. Next slide. So how did dairy become part of our diet? So scientists believe that humans started taking dairy products as far back as 10,000 years ago. So the early humans were preoccupationally gatherers. You know, their preoccupation was gathering food for themselves and their family. There was no bone straight hair then, no iPhone 12 Pro Max, no exotic cars or mansions. So their what they were after was to meet their basic needs of food, clothing, and the clothing was in the most minimal form you can imagine, and of course protection from predators. So in the process of gathering this food, they discovered that these animals that surround them produce milk as well, which they use to nourish their young ones. So in the long run, they discovered that they could also benefit from the milk that those animals produce. So next slide. In the process, they kept on domesticating these animals and rearing them for their meat and their milk consumption. Now, between the mid-17th century and the 19th century, there was what you call the agricultural revolution. There was increased productivity because there was more labor and there was increased land productivity. So this translated into more animals, more meat, and more milk. Then around that time in 1862, Louis Pasteur was concerned about making milk safer for the average consumer. So how he was concerned about making sure that milk lasted longer. So he came up with pasteurization, a way of making milk safer. And if milk became safer, it meant it could be stored for longer. If it could be stored for longer, it also meant it could be distributed beyond the farm. And that was how the dairy journey increased to include people who were not living on the farms. So around that time, there was also the growing interest in nutrition. People became interested in nutrition, and when people were ill, they believed that those such ill patients should be given the simplest and the purest of foods. And what comes to mind when you talk about a food that is so simple and so pure is milk. Then by the early 20th century, milk had become a staple food in the Western diet. So here in Africa, recently a study was conducted. They excavated the remains of humans from Sudan and Kenya, and they discovered that Africans have been taking milk for as far back as 4,000 to 6,000 years. So, and the type of milk they were taking was basically from goat and sheep milk. So as time went on, they also started taking cow milk. And in sub-Saharan Africa, in countries like Kenya, in Sudan, in Rwanda, and Uganda, milk is an important part of their diet. Next slide. So let's look at the global statistics on dairy consumption. So these are about 10 countries with showing how much an individual in that country consumes milk. So in Belarus, the average per capita consumption of milk is about 113.77 kg. The least on that list is Russia. Now, Nigeria is nowhere near any of these countries. Now, let's look at the Nigerian scenario. In Nigeria, dairy has been categorized as a major food group. What you have there is a food guide pyramid. It was drafted by dietitians and nutritionists. It gives a guide on how we should consume different staple foods to meet both our macro and micronutrient needs. Now, they recommend that adults should consume about 1 cup of milk or 1 cup of yogurt daily to meet their nutrient needs. Despite these wonderful recommendations, Nigerians don't take enough dairy. The average per capita consumption of dairy products in Nigeria is between 14.5 to 19 kg. And what could be the reasons? The first on that list is dietary myths about milk. Now, I work in a hospital and I get to work with different categories of patients. I once managed a toddler who was malnourished. When taking the diet history, the father said he stopped giving milk when the baby clocked 1 year. What was his reason? He said he believed that once children stop breastfeeding and they get to 1 year, they shouldn't take milk. Now, from that 1 year to 3 years, there was a massive nutritional gap because WHO recommends that children should have about 500 ml of milk when they start complementary feeding. So half of that 500 will still come from their breast milk, and the remaining will come from an age-appropriate milk. But erroneously, he wasn't giving milk because he felt milk wasn't for babies, was for babies alone. Then you also have people having lactose intolerance. From the previous video we saw, about 80% of Nigerians have some form of lactose intolerance. So when someone takes milk and experiences the discomfort that is associated with lactose intolerance, diarrhea, vomiting, bloating, gas, passing excess gas and all that, they wouldn't want to go close to milk. So for such a reason, you find out that dairy intake is low in Nigeria. Then households considering dairy as a luxury food. I want to paint a scenario. Imagine a low-income family. A man just gave his wife 500 naira to prepare breakfast and lunch for herself and her 2 kids. Now, being a good manager that all women are, yes, we are good managers. We make something out of nothing, but don't make us suffer. So she started racking her brain, how best can I manage this 500 naira to make a meal for myself and these kids? So she remembers she has some palm oil in the kitchen, a little dry pepper, a little crayfish left over from the previous day's meal. So after her mental calculations, she settles for either rice or beans. I think a derico of beans goes for about 450 to 500 naira now. Then rice about 400 naira or 450. So remember, the man said they have to use that 500 to feed for breakfast and lunch. So she settles for concoction rice because after preparing it for breakfast, they will still have some leftover for lunch. If you tell her to take a dairy-based meal at that point, she wouldn't want to listen to you because a loaf of bread now is about 400 naira to 600. If she's to go for milk, you know how much she would have to spend. And of course, there has to be a beverage to go with it, even if it's a tea bag or a chocolate beverage. So at that point in time, she would feel milk is a luxury because she can't afford it. And of course, inadequate local production. Farmers are limited by lack of support in terms of livestock, getting adequate feeds for their animals. Remember, for these animals to produce enough milk, they need to be well fed. And during the dry season, most of the pastoral farmers have to migrate down south in Nigeria to be able to source for feed for their livestock, and you know the problem that is constituting in Nigeria right now. So when we cannot source our milk locally, we have to import, and with importation comes an increased cost that the consumer would bear. After considering all this, the consumer would rather not take milk and go for other staples, such as rice, yam, and beans, which they feel are much more affordable. Next slide. So it's commonly said that milk is a complete food. Whoever says this is not far from the truth, because milk contains energy, it contains protein, it contains fat, carbohydrates, vitamins such as vitamin A and D, as well as minerals such as phosphorus and calcium. So here is a table showing us the nutritional facts about 2 dairy products, milk and yogurt. Interestingly, a cup of milk would give you about 8 grams of protein. That's about what you would get from an average-sized egg. And on the other hand, 1 cup of yogurt would give you 12 grams of protein. Both are very rich in calcium. And if you notice something, the mineral content of yogurt is higher than that of milk. Still going to show you how healthy yogurt is. Next slide. So why do we need dairy? I'm going to be looking at some of the nutrients contained in dairy and why we need to take them. The first nutrient there is protein. Now, adult females need about 48 grams of protein daily, and the men need about 56 grams. So we need protein to build up and repair worn-out tissues. This structural frame, our body, is basically made up of proteins. If you take out the cartilage, if you take out the bones, what you have there is built from proteins. Then proteins also help to maintain a normal pH and fluid balance. So they make sure that fluid stay where they ought to be in the body. So if you find someone who begins to have swelling of the feet and the arms, it's a way of diagnosing protein energy malnutrition. So 1 cup of yogurt meets about a quarter of our daily protein needs. I'm coming to calcium now. Calcium, the RDA for calcium is about 1,000 micrograms. Please go back. So the RDA for calcium for both men and women is about 1,000 milligrams per day. We need calcium to maintain strong bones. And it's also very important for pregnant women. Any pregnant woman in the house? You know, had it been is a typical Nollywood movie, you'll be able to detect a pregnant woman. By the time she runs out from the house and she starts throwing up, immediately a guardian or the parent will discover that she's pregnant. The second one is by the time you look at the palm, I don't know if it states there she's pregnant. Once you look at the palm, you can detect she's pregnant. And the third one, by the time you look at the eyelids, you already know she's pregnant. So pregnant women need calcium because if they don't take enough calcium, the body will draw up from their calcium stores and give to the developing child. What does this imply for the mother? It means that her calcium stores will be depleted. And where do we find most of the calcium stores? The bones and the teeth. What happens to such women? They have increased risk of coming down with osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is when the bone becomes soft and breaks easily. So when such a woman experiences an accident, maybe she falls, she's much more prone to having fracture. So pregnant women and every other person needs enough calcium to maintain bone health. So 1 cup of yogurt meets half of our requirements for calcium daily. So another important nutrient there is vitamin D. Now, even if you take so much calcium and you don't have enough vitamin D, your body won't be able to absorb the calcium you've consumed from your milk or your yogurt. So you need enough vitamin D for the absorption of calcium. Vitamin D is also important for the strengthening of the immune system. You would agree with me that from last year till now, one of the 10 most popular words in Nigeria happens to be immune system. That's probably after COVID-19, pandemic, palliative, tests, lockdown, and all that. So when COVID came, everybody wanted to strengthen their immune system. And when you talk about strengthening the immune system, the first nutrient that would come to mind is what? Vitamin C. But vitamin D is actually very important for strengthening the immune system. And you can get enough vitamin D from dairy products. So 1 cup of milk meets 1/3 of our daily requirements of vitamin D. Another important nutrient contained in dairy is vitamin A. It promotes good eyesight, and it helps us to adapt to dim lights. You remember earlier when we wanted to watch that presentation, they had to put out the lights. So we were now in more or less like dim light. So vitamin A helps you to adapt to that dim light. It doesn't make us nocturnal animals. It just helps us to be able to adapt better when we find ourselves in an area that has dim light. So check yourself. If you find it difficult to adapt to dim light, it's an indication that you're probably lacking vitamin A. And you can get that from milk. A cup of milk meets 1/6 of our daily needs of vitamin A. So another important nutrient is phosphorus. It's needed for the formation of bone and teeth, similar to what calcium does. It also helps the body to make protein. Now, the cells are always working, but when they overwork themselves and they die, the body breaks down those cells into protein. Phosphorus plays a role in making sure that those cells are broken down into protein. It also helps to transport the nutrients we get from the food we eat. So you just finished eating a bowl of amala with ewedu and gbegiri and some goat meat. You know, the body, I like African food, so the body would break down that amala to the simplest form, which is glucose. The goat meat will be broken down to amino acids. The tomatoes in the stew will be broken down to vitamins and minerals. So phosphorus makes sure that those nutrients find its way into the cell. So it's just like a man who goes out to buy something for his family. Maybe he went to a restaurant and decided to buy some takeout. And on getting home, the wife decides to lock him out. No matter how much he spends on that food, as long as the children and the wife they don't get that food, the aim is defeated. So 1 cup of yogurt meets over 2/3 of our daily needs of phosphorus. Then there's another important substance contained in dairy, which is probiotics, found mostly in yogurt. Probiotics are microorganisms that help the body to stay healthy. They help the body to digest food. They control the growth of bad bacteria. Everyone seated here has both good and bad bacteria in their body, and it's found in those organs that interact more with the environment. These organs include the mouth, the gastrointestinal tract, the vagina, the skin, the ear. Now, you have both good and bad bacteria. So this good bacteria, called probiotics, make sure that the bad bacteria stay within normal range. They don't outgrow the good bacteria, because if they do, it would lead to infections and diseases. And these probiotics also produce B vitamins as well as vitamin K. Vitamin K is a very important nutrient needed for blood clotting. So 1 cup of yogurt provides the needed amount of probiotics you need every day. Now let's look at the common controversies and myths about dairy. The common myth is that milk is only for babies. Like I said earlier, adults, older children can take dairy products because there are important nutrients that they contain. Another common myth is that all dairy products are high in fat. Well, there are some categories of cheese that are high in fat, but it doesn't translate to milk. You have different categories of milk. And as we've been hearing here since morning, Hollandia has different categories. You have this Hollandia Slim, the Slim milk and all that. So, yes, milk contains fat, but it doesn't mean it's high fat. Besides, we all need fat. The most important thing is what quantity of fat are you consuming and where are you getting that fat from? Another common controversy is raw organic milk is healthier than ordinary milk. You know, we live in an age where organic products are the rave of the moment. Organic skincare products, organic food, organic water. You know, soon we'll be hearing about organic air. But does organic have to be raw? Does something have to be raw before you can say it's organic? So raw milk contains microorganisms, and if you decide to consume raw milk in order to get the organic benefits of that raw milk, you'll be exposing yourself to food poisoning. Remember I said in 1862, Louis Pasteur came up with a process of making milk safer for consumption. So if you still go ahead to take raw milk because you feel it's more healthier, you will be exposing yourself to food poisoning. Another common controversy and myth around dairy is that dairy contains pus. You know, pus is the whitish substance that gathers when we have infection or when we have boils. Yes, the color is similar to milk, but it doesn't mean that milk contains pus cells. Milk contains white blood cells because it's gotten from an animal. However, it is analyzed to make sure it doesn't exceed a particular level, because if the white blood cells in that milk is higher than normal, it's an indication that that cow must have had some form of infection. So, and nobody would produce and package milk that was not properly screened. So another common myth is that dairy causes cancer. There is no strong evidence linking dairy to cancer. And the final one is that dairy is bad for the heart. Emerging evidence shows that dairy consumption may actually reduce the risk of heart disease. Now, other than using milk and dairy products for our pap, for our oats, and all other traditional ways we've been taking pap since our existence, there are now some very healthy dairy-based recipes that can be made from dairy products. The first on the list is parfait. If you go on social media, you see a lot of advertisements about parfait. People have become so conscious about their health. And not only is it beneficial to everyone, it's also a means of livelihood, because people that produce these things now, it's some form of employment for them and revenue generation. So parfait is basically made with yogurts and fruits. And there is no limit to the type and amount of fruits you can add to it. So it's a healthy alternative for junk and fizzy drinks. And once you have yogurt in there, it even makes it all the more healthy. Then smoothies. This is very important for me as a dietitian, because there is really nothing I cannot achieve with this smoothie. So if I have a patient who is underweight, all I need to do is to constitute it in the right amount. And once there is milk there, I'm relaxed. I'm usually much more confident, because I know my patient is getting carbohydrates, my patient is getting protein, my patient is getting fats, and all other important micronutrients. Another important dairy-based recipe is milkshake. This is for people who try to build their... It's basically made with milk, egg, and other protein-rich foods. Of course, we have our traditional yogurts, and then puree. Puree is an important part of a baby's diet, especially a baby who just started complementary feeding. So there is no limit to the fruit you can puree and give to that baby. But it's even much more perfect when you add milk into that puree. If you add milk into that puree, that child can take that puree as a meal. I don't recommend taking fruits alone as a meal, but once there is milk there, it makes it all the more nutritionally adequate for that child. Now, recently, there have been some evolution around dairy and lifestyle. Like I said earlier, people are now more conscious of their health. Nobody wants to eat anyhow. And if you go online, a lot of campaigns, lose 10 kg in so and so number of time, in so and so number of months and weeks. So in trying to achieve this lifestyle you want for yourself, be it weight loss, you don't have to stop taking dairy. All you'd rather do is make alternative arrangements. So if you were taking full cream milk before, you could just switch over to low-fat milk. You'll still be able to meet your nutrient needs. Remember, dairy contains calcium, which everyone needs to support the bone health. Then you can also make a switch from soda to yogurt. There are people who can't do without taking a bottle of soft drink every day. In fact, it goes with every meal. If you keep doing that every day, you really, really need to stop. You need to stop, because you're putting yourself at risk of non-communicable diseases. Then you can substitute parfaits for junk foods such as your pastries, small chops, and all that. I'm not saying they're bad, but you shouldn't consume all those things frequently or all the time. So you can also use milk and dairy products for weight gain. So when managing my critically ill patients, if they cannot tolerate oral feeding, I have to prepare a therapeutic fluid diet, and milk is an important component of that fluid diet. And of course, for those people who are trying to gain weight, can also constitute energy-dense smoothies to supplement their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And like I said earlier about high-protein milkshakes and parfait, they also help to stimulate appetite and provide other micronutrients that the person needs. So what are my recommendations? So to Chi Limited, I recommend you considering producing toddler milk to meet the needs of the children between 1 to 3 years. Remember, they transition from breast milk to complementary feeding. So between that 1 year and 3 to 4 years, when they then move to adult milk, we need to meet their nutrient needs. Then also consider fortification with micronutrients such as iron. As beautiful as milk is, it's a poor source of iron. And there's 4 other micronutrients of public health importance: vitamin A, folic acid, iodine, and zinc. So you could decide to pick 1 or 2 of them and fortify your products so that you know that your products are not just meeting the energy needs of your consumers, but also meeting their micronutrient needs. Then schools should consider having designated days for dairy. So on such days, they should encourage the students to come to school with dairy products. Some schools have what you call fruit day. So on such days, we just tell the kids, today you're coming to school with, make sure you come to school with a dairy product. It could be a milk drink, it could be a milk-based smoothie, or it could be yogurt. Then schools should also consider having dairy as part of their school meals. Then to parents, catch them young and set good examples. If you want your children to take dairy, they need to see you doing it. When having your breakfast, you don't add dairy, or they don't even see you. Whenever you're having your family time, what they see you chilling out with is a bottle of beer. They wouldn't have that inclination towards dairy. But once they see you drinking milk, taking yogurts, making smoothies, they would want to take dairy products. And then finally, government should also support local production of milk, because if production is increased, definitely the cost would reduce. Conclusion, dairy is an important part of our diets. It's a highly nutritious food which is packed with so many essential nutrients. It is therefore necessary to continue encouraging its intake to enable people meet their nutrient need and ensure optimal health and good nutritional status. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Please let's put our hands together for her. That was a very, very powerful one. Yes, and I learned a lot. I hope we also did. Talked about the benefits of calcium, benefits of phosphorus. I never saw phosphorus in that light, really. And milk, yogurt is packed full of those nutrients. So quickly, we're going to move to the second speaker. Our meeting is getting ankle length now, getting deeper and deeper. And we have here Mrs. Amaka Okwesilizi Wara. Okwesilizi Wara. Okay, let me. She's a passionate and energetic, renowned nutrition specialist. Man, let me hype you well. And she's a public health expert with over 10 years experience in nutrition communication. Okay, she's already here. Let's put our hands together.
Good afternoon, everyone. To remove my nose mask. Okay, I welcome all of us to this program this afternoon. I'm actually standing here. My name is Amaka Okwesilizi Wara, and I bring you good news from the Nutritional Society of Nigeria. The president is actually supposed to be here, but due to some circumstances beyond his control, he's actually not here today. So I'm making this presentation on behalf of the president of the Nutrition Society of Nigeria. Today that we are celebrating Hollandia Dairy Day, and I've actually worked, like she said, over 10 years of my experience talking about dairy. So anytime you are talking about nutrition, talking about milk, it's one topic that I like to talk about with confidence, because I know what milk is all about and what milk can do to all of us. Okay? So we are going to move very fast. Our time is really fast spent, and we really need to move. And the first speaker, Cynthia, has said much about milk and dairy. So maybe some of the points that she has actually emphasized on, we may have to skip because of time. So we'll be looking at what is milk, then and the different varieties of milk that we have, and why is milk important in our diet, and what are the different uses of milk. How can you use milk? Oftentimes, people ask a lot of questions, different questions concerning dairy and we need to look at few of those questions for want of time, just few of them, and we have to conclude. Milk is a secretion obtained from the mammary gland of animals, especially those ones that suckle their youngs. You can get milk from different places. You can get it from human beings. You can also get it from animals, especially the mammals. Human milk is breast milk, of course, we all know. We have different types of milk. We have pasteurized milk. When you get milk, like she rightly said, milk contains some microorganisms that are very dangerous to our health. And so when this milk, if you do not pasteurize them, if you do not treat them, tendency is that the milk can actually cause a lot of harm or problem to the health of whoever that is consuming the milk. And so it becomes very, very important that we do a lot of different processes, especially pasteurization, to break or to kill some of those bad bacteria that we have inherent in milk. Then we have homogenized milk. This is actually done to really reduce, look at the fat particles, the fat content of the milk in such a way that it's blended and the milk is made to be very smooth. So that's homogenized milk. We also have, next slide. Yeah, we have fortified milk. Milk, yeah, it's actually a complete meal. Yeah, I know. But there are certain micronutrients that are also not at the level that they are supposed to. So what happens is that during production, milk is certain nutrients, vitamins, and minerals are also added, or the level increase. Maybe it's there at a particular level, but it's now added in such a way that the level will come up. So that milk is fortified to make it richer from the natural milk that you know. Then we have whole milk. When you talk about whole milk, I think the major thing there is the fat content that we are looking at. Whole milk contains at least 3.25% milk fat, okay? Not just whole milk, we also have other kind of milk. Whole milk is actually better for children because, of course, at that early stage, they need nutrient-dense food, they need energy-dense food because their stomach is not as big as adults. So the little they consume is expected that they should be able to get most of the nutrients that they need from that milk or from that food. Then we have reduced fat milk. The fat content has been reduced from 3.25% to about 2% or thereabout. It happens most of the times, especially when, of course, we know that now there's this, almost everybody is becoming health conscious. So the consumption of fat is also, people are becoming a little bit skeptical about consuming high fat diet. So for reduced fats, the fat content of the milk has been reduced from 3.2% to 2.5% to 2%. It's also good for those that are trying to watch their weight, but maybe not as much. Then we have low-fat milk, still a little bit to the other side of the lowest version of the milk. We also have skimmed milk. In fact, surprisingly, most of these different kind of milk or types of milk that we have, I just realized that Chi Limited even has almost all of them, different kinds of milk. Low fat, they have lactose free, they have skimmed milk. I just realized that it was just today that I saw that you also have lactose-free milk. So I said, you are really out there to gather all the consumers in the market and make sure that none of them will escape. I really give kudos to Chi Limited. It's actually a very good step in the right direction to ensure that all your target audience, all the consumers out there, they get what they want. Like she said, if you think you are slim, you can go for low fat, you can go for skim milk. If you think you are not healthy, that fat is not a concern for you, you can go for full cream. You can also go for whole milk, or you can go for reduced fat milk. So you have so many options to pick from the market. So I don't know why you would not explore and enjoy the goodness of dairy and milk. Next slide. Then we have field milk. What happens is that in the process of trying to also either make, for economic reasons, or maybe trying to reduce the saturated fat in the milk, the original milk fat in the milk is being reduced. And when that is done, it is being replaced with an alternative. It could be vegetable oil, which is also assumed to have less saturated fat, okay? So it's also good for those that are trying to kind of watch their weight, trying to be conscious of what they eat. So the evaporated low-fat milk is an option for them. Then you have evaporated milk. Here, the water content of the milk has been reduced to a certain level. At least 60% of the water has been removed. And what is left is the milk fat, the milk solid, and all those vitamins and minerals and the nutrients that made up the milk. What this does is that it helps to keep the milk a little longer than just the fresh milk or just the milk that has 100% water. Next slide. Then we have sweetened condensed. It's also almost like the sweetened condensed is almost like the evaporated milk. The only thing is that here a sweetener in form of sucrose or any other thing but majorly sucrose is added to sweeten the milk. Most of the people that you see most people in the market will use this sweetened condensed milk either to do their snacks, pastries. So it's not just adding milk to the pastry, but it's also incorporating sugar into the pastry or whatever food that they're using it to cook. Then we have low sodium milk, which is the salt level or the sodium that occurs naturally in milk is also reduced. This allows for people that are on salt-restricted diet so that they will not say that it's because the milk has a lot of salt. That's why they are not able to get their own daily consumption of milk. Next slide. Still whole milk. Difference between this one and the previous one is that this one is dry, but the other one is not dried. This one is completely, almost the whole water is removed, and what you have is only the milk powder. Then we have low fat, still the same with low fat milk, but here this one is dried. Next, please. Same with, this is like skimmed milk or fat-free milk, but it's it's the dry option of it. And it's also good for people that are watching their weight. Continue, next slide. Then breast milk. We know that when you talk about milk, you cannot stop talking about breast milk because we know that it is the best for the baby. Anytime, any day. And of course, you know that at least the first 6 months of the life of a baby is expected to be exclusively breastfed to ensure that the baby gets all that she requires or all that he requires. So milk is really very important. You can imagine that it is the only thing that the baby can eat from the first day that the baby is giving birth to till at least 6 months. WHO recommends that it must be milk or breast milk. However, of course, we know that sometimes breast milk may not be possible, or it may not be enough. The mother can breastfeed, and yet it's not enough. And breast milk substitute also comes in to assist, to make sure that the baby gets all that he or she requires to stay long and to stay healthy. We cannot stop talking about the importance of milk. I call it goodness in a glass, complete goodness in a glass. We have been told that milk is Mother Nature's most complete food, meaning that almost every nutrient that the baby requires or that human beings requires, almost every nutrient is found in milk, ranging from the carbohydrate, the protein, the fats and oil, and all the vitamins and minerals, calcium, magnesium, and so on. All these are found only in one glass of milk. So tell me why you should not go for milk. Oftentimes people say that milk is expensive, but I want to tell you that if you analyze the goodness that is in just a glass of milk, you will know that milk is not as expensive as people have been talking about it. Okay, so we are saying that milk is a very good source of protein that helps in both growth and repair of worn-out tissues. It helps in development. There are a lot of benefits that you get. It also helps to build the body and the growth hormone. So with milk, or with the protein in milk, we are rest assured that you should be able to get almost a reasonable quantity of the protein that the baby or the child or even adults require for their normal growth. Milk is one of the richest sources of calcium. You cannot overemphasize it. Anytime, any day, we keep talking about it because we know that milk is high in calcium. And of course, you know that calcium is very important for strong bones and teeth. You can already see what is happening in that picture. When you don't have enough calcium, tendency is that there could be to decay. Then milk is a very rich source of vitamin D. Vitamin D also helps in absorption of calcium, and so and also phosphorus. So you can't overemphasize the importance of milk. Vitamin A is also one of the major nutrients that are found in milk. Vitamin A is an antioxidant. It helps to fight against free radicals in the body. It also helps to make our skin to be healthy and also for good vision. So if you really want to ensure that you get the best and that you see very well, vitamin A is one of the key nutrients that you really need to incorporate in your diet. And one of the major sources of vitamin A is also milk. Then we have several other nutrients, magnesium, we have potassium, we have niacin. All of these are very, very important. And one of the major importance of this niacin is that it helps to fight heartburn, to ensure that you don't have heartburn. Then milk is very good for brain health. It helps not just the children, but also the adults. Of course, in the early years of life, brain development is very, very important. And so even for children, milk is really very important for them to make sure that they get all the key nutrients that they require and that their brain will develop. And if that is not done, certain nutrients that will help to support brain development, if they are not given at that early stage in life, you will see that it's going to affect the development of that child even when the child becomes an adult. And we have been told that certain nutrients or certain damages that are done when a child is maybe between the age of 0 to 2 years, the first 1,000 years of the child's life, if some of those key nutrients are not provided, the child can have some defects that may not be reversible. So that is why it's very important that we constantly provide certain nutrients like the nutrients found in milk to ensure that that child gets all the best. Not just the first 2 years of life, even for early childhood and adolescent stage. Milk is very, very important. Next slide. I know that milk is one thing that sometimes when people are not sleeping well, it's recommended that they should use milk because it will help to relax the body. So you cannot overemphasize the goodness of milk. You cannot overemphasize the benefit of milk. We need to consume milk all the time. Next slide. Milk also helps, because it relaxes, it also helps to reduce blood pressure. It has protein, calcium, potassium, and magnesium. All of those things, they help to control or manage high blood pressure. Regular consumption of low-fat dairy products can help to reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes. So you can see that you cannot finish the benefits. You can't actually exhaust the benefit of milk. So we are encouraged to take milk all the time. Even those that are training, those that are working out, you can use it to actually refuel in form of, it contains, because milk is over 70% water. So as you are taking the milk, you are sure that you are also getting water. There are different ways you can use milk. Different ways you can use milk. I know that so many people, they will tell you that milk is only for children, it's not for adults. And some people are bored. How can you tell me to drink milk? How can I just drink milk? Am I a child? But I want to tell you that it's not only children that can drink milk. Even if you do not want to drink milk in a glass, there are different ways you can use milk. Thank God for what Hollandia Limited is doing in Nigeria to ensure that you get milk, even in different forms, that can still provide you all the nutrients or some of the nutrients that you will require. It can be in form of yogurt. They have lots. I can't even count. There are so many here. Different types of yogurts. So you can use milk. You can use, if you can't take a glass of milk, you can just, in the morning, if you're able to take maybe a sachet of milk or the small paper sachet for your tea. In the afternoon, when the weather is very hot, you will just grab one Hollandia yogurt. It could be the medium one. If you don't want to take the one that has that is full cream, you can decide to go for the low-fat version, or you decide to go for lactose-free if you are afraid of maybe getting bloated or feeling bloated after taking the yogurt or the milk. But one thing about yogurt is that yogurt is really very good. I don't know if you are aware. There's this kind of calmness that it gives to your stomach. Yeah, because it contains some bacteria that will help you that are very good for good gut health. So not just that it calms the stomach, it also helps to boost immune system. So yogurt is one thing that, even if you are tired of drinking milk, you can continuously take yogurt and satisfy your milk need. Let me just put it like that. Next slide, please. Sometimes when somebody takes maybe something that is poisonous, they will tell the person to take milk. Have you heard about it? They will tell the person to take milk. So what the milk does is that it will just help to neutralize whatever poison that person has taken. So you see that we don't know what we have in milk, actually. It's so good, it's so excellent, that it can go different ways. If you don't want to drink milk, you can use it to take your tea, you can use it to take your cornflakes, you can also use it to do smoothie. Okay, this is yogurt. She actually, Cynthia also said so much about yogurts. You can see it that yogurt helps to, it contains probiotics, which is friendly bacteria that helps our digestive tract. It also improves lactose intolerance for those ones that cannot tolerate the lactose in milk. It also helps to support immune system. It's very good for good gut health and can help to regulate blood pressure. Other dairy foods that we have, you have cheese, you have not just milk, you have cheese, you have yogurt, you have cream and ice cream and so on. So if you can't do it this way, you can go the other way. If you can't drink milk, you go for yogurt. And we still advise that at least you should still be able to take milk. As you take milk, you can complement or complete the remaining daily requirements with yogurt or cheese. I know that cheese is not, we are not heavy consumers of cheese in Nigeria here, but at least it's still available for those ones that want to buy and use. Okay, so milk is indispensable in every stage of life. Milk is not for children. I keep emphasizing on this because it's one of the major complaints that we have been having out there. If you ask different people questions about milk, they will tell you that milk is only for children. But I want to tell you that milk is not for children alone. It's for all stages in life. And of course, there are different requirements for different age groups. For babies, the first 6 months, milk is the only source of nutrition. And when they are at 6 months and beyond, you are expected to introduce other semi-solid food while still giving milk. So milk still forms a major part of their diet. Then for children, at least you should be able to give at least 2 to 3 servings of milk in a day. So it can be in form of tea in the morning, tea and milk. In the afternoon, maybe in their lunch box, you just take one small Hollandia yogurt or whatever and pack in their lunch box to ensure that they get at least 3 servings of dairy in a day. All this will be able to provide all the nutrients that they require. Not just for children, even for younger children, for adolescents. Adolescents, because number one, there's rapid growth. Number two, especially for teenagers, you see at that point in time, there are certain nutrients that they require. And because of that, milk becomes very important. Their recommendation is even higher than that of younger children, especially for those adolescent and also pregnant mothers. They are expected to take at least 3 to 4 servings of dairy products in a day to ensure that they get their nutrients for the day. Then for adults, surprisingly, you may think they don't need milk, but they still need it because as you age, your bones are getting weaker, and calcium, phosphorus, and even vitamin D, they are strong nutrients that are very good for strong bones. And when they are not, and since milk is the major source of these nutrients, that's the easiest way that I think you can actually get those key nutrients. Because even if those nutrients are not provided, the bones will get weaker, and tendency is that there could be problem. And so they must have to be provided for mothers and for also for children and for elderly ones. In conclusion, I want to say that milk is still very important. It's one of the Mother Nature's most nutrient-dense food that nourishes the body. We are not talking about only the vitamin and only the key micronutrients that it provides, but we are also talking about some major micronutrients like calcium, like phosphorus, like vitamin D, that it provides for every stage in life. It's also very good for muscle, it's good for mental development, and it's also very good for rehydration. So the benefits of milk cannot be overemphasized. And we keep telling people that you need to drink milk every day. You need to drink milk every day. You need to take dairy every day so as to be able to get some of the major requirements for the day. certain times, several times, people ask a lot of questions. Why should I consume milk? Am I not an adult? Next slide, please. But I want to tell you that milk is not only for children. I have said it before and I'm still saying it again. Because it's one of the major questions that have been coming. Is milk, okay, this is not for that, I'm talking about milk for children. Milk is not only for children. Yeah, milk is only good for babies, not adults. Is it true? I'm asking you this question today. It's a question I want you to answer. Is it true or false that milk is good for only children? It's false, because not just children, but adults need milk. Aged parents, they need milk. In fact, they even need it higher to be able to strengthen their bones so that they will not have osteoporosis or osteomalacia. So I want to encourage all of us to keep drinking milk. One of the things that we really need to do is to keep creating awareness about the goodness of dairy or goodness of milk. Because some people are acting in ignorance. They will tell you they will not take milk because milk is only for children. But if you are not going home with any information today, go home with the fact that milk is for everybody, including you and also your aged parents at home. Not just children, but for all, at every stage in life. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much. Please, let's make that clap a bigger one. Thank you, Mrs. Amaka Nwora. I mean, if I didn't get anything, I got one thing. No one outgrows milk. Milk is indispensable. It took me, a hard time to convincing my mom. She said, as old as I am, 70. I said, no wonder you're always having bone pains every now and then. Yes, milk is indispensable in all stages of life. Okay, so we are moving to our panel discussions now. So I want to call our distinguished panelists. One after the other. Mr. Eze Ambrose Sunday, pharmacist Eze Ambrose Sunday, is a clinical pharmacy specialist at Rosemoss Pharmaceutical Limited. He's also the National Secretary, Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria. You're welcome, sir. Okay, so Mrs. Iyoha, she holds a Master's of Science degree in Mass Communications from Lagos State University. She began her career as one of the few staffs of Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, APCON, in November 1992. And then, of course, she's presently the Chief Registration and Enforcement Officer. Oh, okay. She became, I beg your pardon, sorry about that. She became the Chief Registration and Enforcement Officer between 2008 to 2014, and still in the employment of the federal parastatal, she was upgraded to the post of Assistant Director and Head Regulation, Monitoring, and Enforcement Directorate. Please, let's put our hands together. Welcome, ma. Welcome. Okay, and then our doctor here. Yes, Dr. Imedimfon Okon. She is a public health physician and head Community Health Department General Hospital, Ifako, Ijaye. She's also the Secretary, Lagos Chapter of Nigerian Medical Association, NMA. You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you. Sir. Okay, so we have a few questions. We have a few questions, to take. And I'm going to start with our doctor. Okay. There's been this recent concern about the immune system. Everywhere it's about immunity. Yes. So does dairy support the body's immune function? Does dairy support the body's immune function? Can you? Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, okay. You have a lapel mic on you.
Sorry?
You have a lapel mic.
It's fine.
On you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So thank you very much for having me, especially in this age of the COVID-19 era, like we have mentioned. You cannot underestimate the role of the immune system because everything borders on immunity. When you have a disease state, each person manifests separately depending on the level of your immunity. So we're talking, different people have said, our speakers have talked about the role of the dairy products. And like most of them have said, in dairy, you almost have everything you need. A little bit of protein, a little bit of carbohydrates, there's water, there's vitamins, and we know the role that protein and vitamins play when it comes to defense of the body system. So it has a big role to play. The dairy has big role to play when it comes to immune system.
Thank you so much, Ma. The second question is, okay, for Mrs. Iyoha. What opportunities, I'm still coming back to you, Ma. Thank you so much. What opportunities can companies and brands in the dairy sector, what opportunities do they have to access to provide right information for Nigerian consumers so that they can gain more knowledge about the benefits of dairy? What's that opportunity that is there for them in the media?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here. When you talk about opportunities that they will need to disseminate information so that they can gain knowledge about the product, we are talking of marketing communication as a whole. And you agree with me that all what we've been doing here since morning is all about marketing. Even showcasing all these varieties is a form of marketing. And so for you to reach your audience, you must create awareness. They should be able to know what you are bringing to them. How are they going to get these products? What is it for? What is the need for me? That's the benefit. So we are communicating to them, and there are various avenues. You have the outdoor. You can use the outdoor medium. You can use television, radio, online, especially this internet age. We have the social media platforms that can use to access information, at the same time talking to your audience for them to know the benefits of what dairy products is all about.
Thank you so much. So I'm directing this to our pharmacist. Is there a recommended daily quantity? How can we relate the medicinal aspect of dairy? Is there a medicinal aspect? What pharmaceutical pattern can we bring into dairy matters?
Thank you very much. Thank you, my co-panelists and the two presenters. They did marvelously well. And based on your question, automatically, whatever you take, there must be a certain quantity you should take. And according to WHO, there's a certain RDI, that recommended daily intake of any nutrients. And based on the presentation here, we get to understand that at least you need 2 to 2.5, daily in a day. And that's equivalent to like a cup of a milk in a day, yes. So, and it's very, very important, even in anything you take, there must be a certain quantity, a dose you must take that will give you the required dose, at least that will give you 97 to 88%. Okay, 97 to 98% according to the recommendations. So there must be a certain quantity you should take at a particular nutrient, whatever. So it's very, very important. We know that.
We have a daily recommended dietary intake all forms of dairy with the low fat and all of that affect the immune system? Let me just say, can dairy generally benefit the immune system?
Yeah, so as we've said, dairy products is not just milk. Dairy is not equal to milk. Milk equals to dairy. We have cheese, we have yogurts and other. And the most important thing we know that they have in common is they have proteins, they have carbohydrates, and they have those other things. So once you have that in your system, you are boosting immunity. And I want to say something. I've heard a lot said about the cost implication, especially of milk. So sometimes we need to reason the way we spend, because let us not be penny wise and pound foolish. Because if you say dairy products can boost immunity, how much do you want to pay for ill health if you eventually fall ill? So while thinking about the cost of that sachet of milk, vis-a-vis the 500 naira that your husband gave you, think about if you have to run to the hospital, pay for admission, buy drugs. So don't be penny wise, pound foolish.
Thank you so much. Coming from a doctor, that's a good one. It is not about quantity, but about quality. Thank you so much. So we are going to welcome, Mr. Ademola Mafikuyomi for another powerful, another awesome, product that is coming from this beautiful Hollandia brand. Welcome, sir.
So good afternoon. There's no doubt that since morning, we have seen that we cannot overemphasize the importance of dairy products, especially when it concerns healthy living. But you might also think, what provision have we done? Of course, we have established that we have a wide range of products for everyone. But you also notice that we also have issues of malnutrition in Nigeria, especially for children. So you might just think, so what is Chi doing in this area? The point is that we've also given this attention. And that's the reason why sometime last year, we took a bold step to launch an initiative. That initiative is called Orlandia Nurture a Child. And we are going to see what we have started, or what we have done so far on this journey. Please, direct your attention to the screen as we show you just a snippet of what we have done so far with
Line
Orlandia
cause
Nurture a
of
Child.
45% of global deaths for children under the age of 5. Good nutrition is the bedrock of every child's health and development. Unfortunately, child malnutrition and hunger has grown to become a global and a local issue. According to the World Health Organization, malnutrition refers to deficiencies, excesses, or imbalances in a person's intake of required bodybuilding food and nutrients. Locally, Nigeria has the second highest figure of stunted children in the world, estimating an alarming 32% of children under the age of 5. UNICEF estimates NGOs, private companies, and government agencies are constantly carrying out numerous initiatives to curb this ever-growing number. But one initiative stands out: the Hollandia Nurture a Child initiative. Hollandia Nurture a Child initiative is a brainchild of Chi Limited and is poised to address the challenge of malnutrition amongst Nigerian children and the overall well-being of the Nigerian child by ensuring that these children have access to its tasty and nourishing Hollandia products. Nourishing goodness is at the core of the Hollandia brand essence and DNA. Therefore, good nutrition aligns with what the brand stands for. Children are the future of the nation. The Hollandia Nurture a Child CSR initiative is committed to providing support to children so that every child can bloom and grow, irrespective of their situation in life. Launched in 2020, the Hollandia Nurture a Child initiative has made significant strides in its fight against malnutrition, reaching over 5,000 children across Nigeria. The program has visited children in 8 IDP camps across Nigeria, ensuring the children have the right nutrition. It has supported 25 orphanages in Lagos with cartons of our Hollandia evaporated milk and Hollandia yogurt. It has also visited children in 16 slums within Lagos, making sure that the scourge of malnutrition is on the decrease. All these accomplishments made in less than 1 year gives us the confidence that through our resilience and commitment, we can make considerable impact in addressing malnutrition in our children, our future. Hollandia Nurture a Child, nurturing and safeguarding the nation's future through well-nourished and healthy children. Hollandia Nurture a Child, nurturing and safeguarding the nation's future through well-nourished and healthy children.
From the online, our online audience. Okay, so, sir, what is the role of, I'm directing it to you now, not the doctor, the role of dairy in immune function and in supporting immune function?
Well, the importance of dairy in immune function cannot be overemphasized, as they already said, because the milk contain more especially essential elements, essential foods are there, the vitamins, the B1, B6, and all that. So, and they are there to impose to boost the immune system. So they are very, very important, especially as we
Dr. Khan, what is the most prevalent dietary, prevalent dairy-related deficiency in adults and children, especially in Nigeria here?
Okay, so in children, the most prevalent dairy-associated deficiency is typically our food malnutrition, which we also call this nutrient malnutrition, where UNICEF quoted in food sense that about 2 million Nigerian children are suffering from severe acute malnutrition, and about 7% of pregnant women also suffer malnutrition. And do not forget osteoporosis. Okay, so, and we said in dairy, you have vitamin D, you have calcium. So this is another dairy-related deficiency. That's adult. Osteoporosis is found in adults. Yeah. Malnutrition in children and even in pregnant women too, which are adults too.
And in creating that awareness, you are telling them what the product is all about, the use of the product, and the benefits to them. And you can only achieve that through the use of mass media, TV, radio, like I mentioned earlier, outdoor, and all that. And not only that, too, you can use word of mouth. That one travels faster than even the conventional. For instance, I came here, I saw this lactose free. I know I have friends and relations that are lactose intolerant. So I'll go back and let them know about it if they are not aware of it. And by the time each and every one of us will tell one person, that person tells another, we go a long way. So let us all play the role of advocacy in this regard. It will help a long way to communicate the benefits of these dairy products to the consumers.
Wow, thank you so much, Ma. So we are all, encouraged to play the role of advocacy. We go and preach the Orlandia gospel. Yes, in our world. Okay, so we've been receiving, questions online, platforms from the media online, and then we can only take a few of those questions. Yes, we can only take a few of those questions. So can we start? I think from the business brand. I think it's going to be. We have. Okay, I thought it's going to be Mr. Nweze from The Nation. Okay, so he is directing his question to NMA, to Okon. He says, how does dairy nutrition support the body's immune function, especially at this time? That is his question. At this time when it seems like maybe we are coming out slowly from the pandemic. What's the place of dairy?
Okay, so this had been mentioned earlier when I was talking about the role of dairy and immune system. So when you have vitamins, you have vitamin A, you have vitamin D, you have the B2, B6, B12, all those things help to boost immunity. And you find them in dairy products. So the more you consume dairy products at this period, the more you strengthen or boost your immune system.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so the second question is from Mr. Suleiman, Telegraph. Okay, from Telegraph Media, Mr. Suleiman Hassan. And his question is directed to the pharmacist here. He says the same thing, almost asking about the immune system at this time. How does dairy nutrition, support the immune system at this time?
Just like what the doctor has said, it's the same question. The more you take most of the supplements that contain zinc, selenium, vitamins, all B complexes, when you take it, you are boosting your immune system. If you can maintain the daily dose once a day or twice a day, you are boosting your immune system. You find that you'll be fighting against any disease might come around you. So that's what we medically do. Eat well, better lifestyle, those are the things that can put you in.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, another question for here. From Mr. Samuel Olaji from France. But you could just wrap it up.
So adults need about 3 servings, and it translates into 1 cup of milk or 1 cup of yogurt. Children too need that. It depends on their age, but basically between 2 to 2.5. So still 1 cup. But like I said, for the babies who just started complementary feeding, they need about 500 mils of milk. So half of that would come from breast milk. Then the remaining half would come from their age-appropriate milk. So it still boils down to about a cup, which is about 250 ml of dairy.
Thank you, Ma. Okay, so I'm directing this to you, Ma. This is from Bennett O'Keefe for This Day. Okay, from This Day newspaper, I think. It says, what opportunities can companies and brands in the dairy sector access to provide the right information for Nigerians, Nigerian consumers?
Okay. Like I said earlier, there are many platforms you can access information, like this modern age of the internet. There are so many articles there to read and get information via the internet. You also have other social media platforms and also engage your consumers. You need to engage them. Not what you really want. So doing, you're putting information at the same time, you're acting on them. What the benefits of dairy products are. There are only so many avenues of getting information through research, of course.
Hennessy, mommy from Hennessy, Bayo. This question from Bayo Hamudu. Okay, Bayo Hamudu. Okay, he says the Nigerian diet happens to be more, it's more about carbohydrates and less other required food groups. I know you've talked about it, but briefly, can you just help us to know how the situation can be turned around so that Nigerians can adopt a not quantity above quality pattern? Like she said, yes, pound foolish, she keeps taking carbs, micronutrients are avoided, and then, of course, okay, sorry. So can you just help us? How can we help Nigerians to have the proper, approach to the food groups, not just carbohydrates every time, quantity.
I think the major thing we need to do is continuous education. We keep educating our consumers because I can already say that ignorance is one of the major problems we're having in terms of nutrition in Nigeria. So many myths outside there, they will tell you a child is not supposed to take meat, a child is not supposed to do this, an adult is not supposed to take milk. So one thing we need to do is to constantly educate our consumers using different media. It could be electronics, it could be social media, it could be print. And we all know that recently attention has actually moved from electronics, basically, to social media. Most people now, they are always with their phone, especially young adults and children, and also even aged parents. So we can actually explore this opportunity of using social media to reach consumers, both in the urban and also in the hinterlands. Of course, once we are doing what we are doing, if we are able to educate them, tell them the importance of taking healthy meals and the different sources of those nutrients that are very key to their health and development. If we keep educating them, I'm very sure that there's going to be this change in their behavior. So we have to emphasize on behavioral change communication at every point in time, wherever we go, in our offices, outside there. Explore all available options. Word of mouth is also okay. So let's keep educating our consumers so that they will change their behavior.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. Let's put our hands together for our panelists. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, sir. We do not have the luxury of time, so because of that, we'll just call Hamid Anija for the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Through today's session, we all know that nutrition is the bedrock of healthy living. and dairy products have a key role to play in it. Hopefully, through this novel initiative, we have been able to strike conversations around daily consumption and the need to make it part of our daily lives. But this would not have been possible without the support of all of you. So on behalf of the management and the staff of Chi Limited, I'd like to extend a big thank you to our distinguished guests, panelists, presenters, viewers who have joined us online, and our friends from the media and the agency for being part of the maiden edition of Hollandia Dairy Day 2021. I would like to express my gratitude to Ms. Cynthia Okinkiwi, representing Dietitians Association of Nigeria, for taking us to an interesting presentation on role of dairy in achieving optimal health and nutrition. In her presentation, particularly noteworthy were the common controversies and myths around dairy products and the global statistics on dairy consumption versus the scenario in Nigeria. A big round of applause for Ms. Cynthia. Please, guys. I would also like to extend a big thank you to Mrs. Amaka Onwora, representing Nutrition Society of Nigeria, for highlighting the importance of milk in a healthy diet. Particular highlights of her presentation were the different varieties of milk and their health benefits. So a big round of applause for Mrs. Amaka Onwora. Then going further, I would also like to extend our deepest gratitude to the eminent panelists, Dr. Imidin Fon Okon, Nigerian Medical Association, Isai Sunday Ambrose, representing, he's the National Secretary, Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria, and Mrs. Ijedi Iowa, Director of Regulation and Monitoring, Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, APCON, for contributing to the theme of this year's conference, Dairy Nourishment to Support Healthy Living. A big round of applause for our panelists. I will also like to thank Ms. Zainab Balogun Unwachukwu, Brand Ambassador Hollandia, for gracing the occasion and supporting us in this noble cause. So a big round of applause for Ms. Zainab. Then I will finally like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the audience, because no event can be a success without an engaged audience. So we have been getting a lot of questions, and we have seen that they are really interested in knowing the benefits of dairy products. And I am no doubt that in today's session, through our eminent panelists and the presenters, we have been able to bring to light a lot of interesting facts and the need for consuming dairy, not just for the children, but for every person, irrespective of the age group that he or she is. So thank you once again, everyone, for sparing your precious time to participate in the Hollandia Dairy Day and making it a big success. Thank you. Thank you.
We have photos and then interviews with